This, by the way, is the hardest part of golf is the short game.
Oh, I know.
You have to learn one putting stroke, one driver swing, one 7-iron swing. You've got to learn 50 shots with around the green shots. You use your putting grip, it looks like, for your chipping. Okay?
For this?
For that little shot there, where you know it's going to be more like a putting stroke type of swing. I like that. And will you occasionally do that on the course? Hit a little scruffy and it doesn't come off clean?
Yeah.
Okay. And sometimes you'll hit it too clean and it goes 15 feet by? Yeah. Go to number 5 now. Would you use the same club?
No.
What did you change it to?
Sand wedge.
Okay. Hit the 9-iron. I don't know the 9. I'm a real firm believer in not guessing what you should use, but to test what you should use. So that's definitely too hot a club for this shot.
Greg, on the left is your chipping stroke before I made any adjustments. And I'm going to compare it to Jim Furyk and his bump and run swing. And I want to point out a couple of the differences. One of the key fundamentals of a chip shot is you must position the low point of your swing in front of the golf ball so that you want to make sure that you hit down and hit the ball before you hit the ground, which means you must hit the ball on the downward part of the arc of your swing. When you hit a chunk shot, that means your club hit the ground behind the golf ball. And that meant that your low point of your arc was hitting behind the golf ball. And then that's what we call a chunk shot or chili dip type of shot. So let's look at a couple differences in your setup. One of the obvious things is your feet are further apart than Jim's are. One of the things that you can do or must do in order to get the low point of your swing arc in front of the golf ball is to get the weight on the front side of your golf ball. By putting his feet close together, he's able to put more weight on his left side, which puts more weight in front of the golf ball. You can see how the blue arrow from his left shoulder going straight down to the ground is far to the outside of that left foot. So he has his weight shifted over more on his left foot than his right foot. And if we were to draw that same arrow off of your left shoulder, it's basically right on top of your left foot. And if you were to get your feet a little bit closer together but kept your shoulders where they are, it would then promote more weight to the left side. Your golf circle tends to move wherever your center of gravity is. And if your center of gravity is shifted to the left, towards your left side, then that'll shift the low point to the left side in front of that golf ball. Now let's look at the chipping swing itself. And we'll look at Jim first. I've drawn arrows on the forearms, and I've extended a blue arrow through the shaft between the forearms. And you can see that it's almost the letter Y, and that the shaft extension is closer to the left arm than it is the right arm. So I want to keep in mind as we look at Jim's swing, he maintains that Y So when he finishes the swing, he still has the shaft a little bit closer to his left arm than he does his right arm. So he was not wristy. He didn't flip his wrist or hinge his wrist or cup his wrist. That the finishing shape of his letter Y at the beginning is the same as it is in the end. So all he did was swing and turn his shoulders. And you'll notice that his chest and hands are in the same position as he started. He had his hands in front of his chest at the beginning, and he just swings his chest to the target. And so his shoulders and his hands and his club are all connected in one piece, and just pivots the whole body part. The whole upper body swings, and he lets his face and his eyes are following the shot, following the club. Now, as you come through, and finish, you end up having your shaft end up closer to the right arm. It started closer to the left arm, but now it is closer to the right arm. And the reason for that is that you use your wrist, that the angle in the back of your right hand has flipped. And so you're using your hands a little bit too much for this swing. And you are not really swinging your chest. Your chest is kind of pointing here, and your eyes are pointing there. So Jim has his upper body rotate a lot more. If I were to show this angle here to here to here, it says 170-degree angle at the end of the swing. At the beginning of the swing, that forearm to shaft angle was 148. So you had a 22-degree difference in the angle but at the start and the angle at the finish. Let's look at the angle here, 155. $154, 155. So the angle in the back of his right wrist for Jim is maintained throughout the swing. He does not flip his right hand into the golf ball. So he keeps that angle solid. And that will keep him in control of the swing arc. Because if you lose that angle in the back of your right wrist, it's like a little mini cast of a full swing. When you do casting of the full swing, you lose that angle before you get down to the golf ball, and that can cause you to hit it fat. And so one of the things that you're going to need to do is learn how to do a one-piece body swing. As Jim swings through, everything goes in one piece. His shoulders, his chest, he even lets his head turn pretty quickly right after contact. Right at the moment of contact, he's looking, but he immediately lets his head turn and swing with the club. He doesn't excessively try to keep the head down. So learning how to hit that little body turn is good. This is Tiger Woods, and you can see how he's leaning everything toward the target. More weight on his left side than his right side. And he'll swing his body in one piece right there. Everything moves in one piece right there. He doesn't lose the angle in the back of that right hand. So he maintains all that weight on the left side. He lets his hands stay in front of his chest as he just swings his chest to the target. On the left is Rory McIlroy, and on the right is Luke Donald. Again, you're going to see feet very close together. You're going to see the chest, arms move through the ball as a connected piece. You can see his right hip turn, his right knee moves. It's like a little mini swing. There's Luke Donald. Again, feet close together, hands in front of the chest, chest and hands move together in a connected unit. Lets his face lift with the swing. right hip, right knee moving with the club.
So feet are close together, lean against the wall on the left and stay there. Exaggerate the left. Let's go to your sand wedge. So I think the niner is actually too little loft for this shot, particularly since I'm putting more shaft lean in your club than you had before. Because now I've made that almost an 8-iron. Stay on that left. The right club is probably somewhere between these two. We just didn't bring them out of your bag over here. It's probably going to be the gap or pitching wedge would be the right club for this shot. Good. You may immediately like this, you may immediately not.
The other chipping technique I wanted you to try and work on was what I call the Steve Stricker method. He will stand a little bit closer and get the shaft more vertical and lift the heel of the club off the ground, and so it's almost setting more on the toe. And this keeps the heel from catching the ground and getting stuck, and makes it easier to slide that club through the grass.
But it's something you can play around with until you develop a comfort level. It actually is a very safer way sometimes. You eliminate some of the really bad, ugly shots.
Yeah, and
Steve Stricker, very much an arm swinger, but he stands that shaft more vertical. A lot of pros are starting to follow his technique or adding it to their bag of tricks. That's what I want you to do. I don't want to take anything away from you. I want to add to it. Now, again, the 9-irons for this pin, I think the 9-irons is great for the 2-hole. So that feels a lot more vertical. Looks good. Looks real good. Very clean. Is that the club you'd use? Okay, is that the sand or lob? Okay. Okay. If you hit behind it, that means your low point was behind it. Okay? So we've got to have our low point in front. And hit down. Better. Now, is this is this pattern that I'm seeing somewhat typical on the course? Some good, some bad? It's not a shot you're super comfortable with or confident in? Okay. If I were to suggest you add a little wrist hinge, what would you show me? I want you to hinge your wrist a little bit in your backswing. You have no wrist hinge right now. I want you to hinge your wrist up in your backswing. Up and down. Accelerate through. Hinge and chop. That was a miss hit and it's still a good shot. Now, sometimes the lie causes the miss hit, man. Some lies are just horrid. You're just going to do the best you can. But you got to have some attack. You got to have some speed. You can't quit on a bad lie. You got to go after it. Okay? They're now popping up really nice. You can be aggressive without fear of it going so far. With the sand wedge, you have to be too careful. Then you decel. Hinge. Feel that new feeling. Let me see a practice swing. I want you to feel like your butt into your handles pointed at the ground. When you're on your backswing, go back and there, point it right to the ground. Boom, then chop. Fun with that, chop. Oh yeah, look at how high that is. Sit like a butterfly. Point, swing. Point and almost freeze at the ball. Oh, look at that. Boom. That's fun. That's awesome there. Point and go. That's all right. You're learning. Another month, you'll be a master of this shot. You got too much athletic ability. Point. That was a little bit too dainty. I want you to, buck it up a little bit. Grrr. Be a little bit of aggressive. Your chest to the green, like that. Keep doing that until you get comfortable. Almost have that, what I call the happy accident. You're going to do it right, and it's going to feel right. So the club is only moving as fast as you can turn your chest. The chest is the engine, not your hands. The club follows the speed of your chest. Hinge, and then chop with your chest turn, like that. That was much better. You want your hands somewhat quiet. There's too much range of speed in your hands that it would be hard for you to control. Your chest is a much calmer engine. Good. I'm changing the geometry of impact for you. You're having a steeper attack angle. When you add your wrist hinge, you create a steeper attack angle, which is to your benefit. Oh, that came out soft. Very nice. Hinge, there you go. And then heavy brush of the grass. Okay, that's beautiful. Now right now you almost have to build a whole new file box of forces of how far a ball goes with this. And you may guess wrong for the first month, but after a while you'll start saying, man, I know exactly how much swing to give this shot. Now the ball's going straight up and doesn't have to pass through a lot of grass in front of the ball. So I would definitely encourage you to start using your lob wedge more. Much better, nice and high.